People often say a man should have his life together by 30, but for women, 30 can feel like an even sharper dividing line. Love, health, career, marriage, children, sex, friendship, and social expectations all seem to arrive at the same time. But if we only live once, why should age become a cage? This is the story of By the Age of 30, a healing Japanese drama about 4 close friends who are all 29 and trying to decide what kind of life they actually want before the world decides for them. The story begins at a friend's 3rd wedding. Haruka Miyama, Kyoko Miura, Kanon Fujisawa, and Uta Sakura attend together, looking confident and beautiful enough to turn heads the moment they enter the venue. 4 handsome men approach and try to strike up a conversation. Kyoko rejects them without hesitation and leads the others away, but Haruka stays frozen for a moment. She and one muscular man clearly notice each other. If her friends had not pulled her away, something might have happened that night. The irony is that Haruka seems to have the most stable love life out of the group. She has been with her boyfriend, Kanata, for 5 years, but they have a serious problem. They have not been physically intimate for 2 years. Haruka has a strong desire for affection and physical connection, but Kanata always says he is too tired from work. She can never argue with that excuse. Over those 2 years, Haruka has repeatedly found comfort in short, one-night affairs with other men. Her friends know. They do not approve, but as friends, they also do not know how far they have the right to interfere. After the wedding, Kanata suddenly proposes to Haruka. The surprise is so sudden and sweet that Haruka accepts. But when Kanata says they are almost 30 and should start planning for a child, Haruka tries to get close to him that night. Once again, he does not respond. The rejection hits her hard, and she starts wondering whether turning 30 has made her less desirable. When her friends hear about the engagement, they congratulate her, but Haruka looks troubled. The problem is not only the lack of intimacy. Marriage means she will have to choose between career and family, or at least that is what the world keeps telling her. Haruka does not want to give up work just because she gets married or has a child. She has seen talented senior women take maternity leave and return only to be transferred to departments with easy work and no future promotion. If she wants to keep shining after marriage and pregnancy, she must prove herself before that happens. Kanata is also the safest marriage partner she can imagine. If she lets him go, she may never meet someone better. Kanon warns her that since she accepted the proposal, she should stop betraying him. After all, after their friend Michi's wedding party, Haruka still left with the muscular man from the reception. Haruka decides to control herself for the sake of her relationship. Maybe that decision brings her luck. The next day, her company recognizes her work and appoints her to lead a new project. If the project succeeds, many of her career fears could disappear. Haruka takes her team to meet the client company. She only intends to introduce herself, but the client's boss assumes she came to discuss the proposal. He is irritated, saying that if she only wanted to say hello, she could have done it online. A face-to-face meeting should have a real purpose. Haruka feels embarrassed and promises to bring a proper proposal soon. Angry and stressed, Haruka goes to the gym with Kyoko to let off steam. Kyoko is in a bad mood too. She is an independent businesswoman, completely devoted to work and firmly against marriage. Yet a man recently invited her to dinner under the excuse of business when his real goal was a date. Kyoko feels disgusted, as if her time was stolen. After the workout, Haruka runs into Tomoya, a handsome, elegant co-worker who joined the company the same year she did. His confidence and charm immediately stir something in her. When he asks her to dinner, Haruka abandons Kyoko and goes with him. At dinner, they talk about work and relationships. Tomoya learns Haruka has a boyfriend and is engaged. He looks disappointed and admits he once had feelings for her. The meaning behind his words is obvious. Just then, Haruka receives a message from Kyoko, who knows her personality too well. Kyoko warns her to control herself. Haruka still goes with Tomoya for another drink. Kanata is waiting at home, but Haruka keeps drinking because she knows alcohol may be the only thing strong enough to numb her desire. In the end, she drinks so much that she ends up in the hospital. Her 3 friends rush over. Luckily, Haruka is fine and can go home soon. Then Kanata calls. Haruka has no idea how to explain, but Kanon, who is experienced at smoothing over awkward situations, situations, grabs the phone, and lies for her. Kanon is good at that because of her job. She is a company president's secretary, though in practice, she is treated more like a personal servant. She handles everything, even arranging private hotel rooms for her boss and his mistress. Unlike Haruka and Kyoko, Kanon is neither intensely driven by desire nor a hardened career woman. She is more traditional. She wants to marry before 30, but because her job keeps taking her into elite spaces, her standards have become unrealistically high. She wants a wealthy husband, ideally a man earning at least 20 million yen a year. To find that kind of partner, she spends 400,000 yen joining a marriage agency, even though her monthly salary is only around 250,000 yen. To Kanon, it is an investment. Spend 400,000 yen now, gain a rich husband later. But reality is much harsher than her plan. Compared with the men Kanon meets, Kanata seems almost perfect. Even when Haruka drinks too much and comes home late, he is gentle and caring. Haruka feels guilty, but just as she tries to settle back into her engagement, temptation appears again. Her boss adds a helper to her new project, and the helper is Tomoya. Haruka has barely managed to control herself, and now the same man is standing in front of her every day. After work, she tells Kyoko and Kanon about it. She insists she can separate work from private life, but no one knows how long that determination will last. When Kanon asks about Haruka and Kanada's physical relationship, Haruka admits nothing has changed. That is when Michi suggests counseling for intimacy problems. Later, Haruka receives the clinic information and realizes couples must attend together. After thinking about it for a full day, she tells Kanata and shows him the pamphlet. Kanata's expression immediately darkens. He does not want strangers hearing about their private life. He insists nothing is wrong with him. When Haruka says their last time together was 2 years ago, Kanata says it is normal for couples to become less physical after being together a long time. But when the topic shifts to children, he becomes vague and says they can take things step by step. Haruka finally explodes. This matters to her. She storms out and drinks alone on the stairs. The atmosphere between them freezes. Kanon's situation is not better. She prepares carefully to impress a company president visiting her workplace, only to learn he is already married. Her effort is wasted. Then the marriage agency contacts her with a new match, a dentist earning 20 million yen a year. On paper, he is perfect. Kanon prepares thoroughly and goes to the date. But the two live in completely different worlds. The dentist is a strict vegetarian. Kanon forces herself to match his preferences and flatters him like an adoring fan. He enjoys it, but inside, Kanon feels miserable. She thinks there should never be a second date. Then Kyoko suddenly asks Kanon to arrange a group mixer. Kanon does not know what has gotten into her, but she introduces Kyoko to one of the dentist's friends. At dinner, Kyoko surprisingly plays along and flatters the man. Afterward, she leaves with him. Kanon, however, does not go out with the dentist. She sits alone in a park drinking, fully aware that she and that kind of man do not belong together. Still, her image of an ideal husband is the dream that keeps her moving. Then Kyoko appears beside her. Kyoko followed the man home, and in theory, the night should have continued. But at the last second, she apologized and ran away. Kanon sees her tears and realizes something serious happened. After calming down, Kyoko finally tells her the truth. During a company medical checkup, she learned she has a uterine condition that may eventually require surgery and could take away her chance to become a mother. Kyoko does not need a man, but that does not mean she does not want a child. That is why she started searching for a suitable man before her condition got worse. But she cannot force herself to be with someone she does not want. Kanon tells her that if she wants a child, she should not have to pressure herself into a relationship. There must be other ways for a single woman to become a mother. That gives Kyoko an idea: artificial insemination. While Kyoko begins preparing for that path, Haruka's project moves forward. Thanks to Tomoya joining the team, the second client meeting goes well enough to pass the first hurdle. At the team dinner, Tomoya's gaze keeps circling back to Haruka, but Haruka's mind is on Kanata and their Cold War. After dinner, she stops by a bar to drink away her frustration. Tomoya follows and quietly keeps her company. They move from the bar to karaoke, singing loudly as the alcohol and sadness loosen her restraint. On the way home, Tomoya gently puts his hand over hers. Haruka understands the signal. This time, she does not hesitate. She kisses him. On the way home afterward, she feels almost no guilt toward Kanata. But just when she assumes the Cold War will continue, Kanata tells her he agrees to go to counseling. He has been thinking since their fight and realizes that if Haruka is working so hard for their future, he should not keep running away. He apologizes. Haruka's guilt crashes back. At the clinic, the therapist speaks with them separately to protect their privacy. Haruka is reluctant at first, but after gentle questions, she admits her strong desire and the fact that she has cheated multiple times. The therapist tells her not to carry too much shame. These issues are more common than she thinks, and the fact that they came to counseling means they are willing to solve them. When it is Kanata's turn, he is nervous and closed off. The therapist tells him to treat this as a final chance to speak freely. Slowly, Kanata opens up. The therapist identifies the problem between them and gives them simple exercises to do at home. On the way back, Kanata holds Haruka's hand for the first time in a long while. It is a small gesture, but it feels deeply intimate. At home, they take a bath together, hold each other, and follow the therapist's exercises. Kanata relaxes and kisses Haruka. Just as things finally seem to be improving, Haruka gets a work call. A coworker is sick and needs her to finish an urgent document that night. The mood is ruined, but Haruka is still hopeful. She marks a new date on the calendar, believing their relationship may finally recover. Then a new crisis arrives. The next day at work, Haruka learns that a woman named Chiba is apparently involved with Tomoya. Chiba has posted online accusing him of cheating with a coworker. When others ask whether Haruka knows who the coworker is, she denies everything, but she panics. She calls Tomoya, who says Chiba was only a one-night fling and misunderstood their connection. He cannot reach her now. Haruka tells her friends. They warn her to prepare herself because Chiba's post may be aimed directly at her. The hardest part is explaining everything to Kanata if the truth comes out. That night was supposed to be Haruka and Kanata's planned intimate night, but Kanata texts that he will be late because of work. Haruka feels relieved because she is too anxious to face him. She pretends to be asleep and avoids the whole thing. The next day, the scandal explodes again. Chiba posts a photo. Haruka expects to be exposed, but when her boss calls her into the meeting room and shows her the picture, the woman in it is not Haruka. It is her assistant, Kota. Kota enters and apologizes. Haruka is shocked but secretly relieved that she was not the one revealed. That night, Tomoya texts that Chiba will delete the posts. Everything seems ready to calm down, but the next day, Haruka sees Kota packing her things. The boss is afraid the client will find out and transfers Kota to another department to avoid reputational damage. Haruka is furious. This is discrimination against women in the workplace. Tomoya is far more responsible, but because he is valuable, he stays. Kota is the one punished. Haruka argues with the boss and finally admits her own involvement with Tomoya. The result is predictable. Haruka is transferred too, sent to a quiet department with no real future. She cannot tell Kanata the truth because she fears he will learn why she was moved. Her life changes from constant overtime to a normal 9-to-5 schedule, but the emptiness is unbearable. She starts spending time in Michi's shop because she has nowhere else to go. While Haruka drifts through her new department, Kanon is busy chasing what she thinks is her best chance at marriage. At a horse race with her friends, Kanon uses knowledge she picked up from her boss and talks through several possible winning horses. Ironically, everyone else ends up guessing correctly, while Kanon loses all the money she had left. She had hoped to use the winnings to pay the next season of her marriage agency fees, but now she cannot even afford a beer. Just then, a man pays for her drink. He overheard Kanon's horse analysis, followed her advice, bet on the winning horse, and made a large amount of money. To thank her, he leaves his business card and says he wants to treat her to dinner. Kanon is not interested at first, until she sees his name. He is Takamura, the president of another company. Suddenly, spring has arrived. Kanon decides to win him over with her own skills. Over the next few days, she secretly chats with Takamura during work and uses her experience as a secretary to recommend high-end restaurants. She also mentions her favorite place, and Takamura invites her there to thank her. To Kanon, that sounds like the beginning of a confession. She dresses beautifully for the date. Halfway through dinner, Takamura says he has something serious to tell her. Kanon prepares herself for love. Instead, Takamura asks her to work for him. He admires her ability and wants her to become his secretary. Kanon is disappointed, but she quickly adjusts. If she works close to him, she can still get closer. She also has no desire to stay at her current company after seeing her boss casually give his mistress 300,000 yen in an envelope, more than Kanon earns in a month. At Takamura's company, Kanon soon feels she made the right decision. She keeps watching him at work. His seriousness and every small gesture attract her, but they have almost no chance to be alone. So Kanon refuses the vice president's invitation and stays late at the office until Takamura is about to leave. When he realizes she has not eaten, he takes her to his favorite ramen shop. It is not fancy, but Kanon is so deep in love that even a simple bowl of ramen feels romantic. Even the way Takamura burns his mouth on the noodles seems cute. A few days later, while Kanon is out with her friends, Takamura calls and asks her to stop by his home to pick up documents. Kanon thinks this is her chance, but when she arrives, she learns Takamura has a teenage daughter. His wife died years ago, and he has been raising his daughter alone. This is hard for Kanon to accept. One of her marriage conditions was that she did not want a single father. Even so, she cannot let go of her feelings. Whenever Takamura needs help, she still goes to his home. As she spends more time there, she discovers his daughter Eri is kind, sensible, and thoughtful. The warm, almost friendship-like bond between father and daughter moves Kanon. Gradually, she begins to think she could accept Takamura as a father too. Just when she is ready to move forward, Takamura is fired by the board. They think he is too idealistic, and ideals alone cannot run a company. Before leaving, he tells Kanon he wants to start a new company. If she will join him, he would be very happy. Now Kanon is torn. She wanted a successful man, not a broke, single father starting over from zero. After Takamura leaves, the vice president becomes the new president and begins aggressively pursuing her. He fits many of the standards Kanon used to list for a husband. After struggling, Kanon rejects Takamura's offer. She made the choice herself, yet she still cries, feeling as if something inside her has gone empty. The next day, she accompanies the new president to a financing meeting and learns that Takamura also asked the same investors for support. They rejected him because his ideals were too unrealistic. Kanon finally understands how difficult his situation is. After work, she finds Kyoko and asks about financing. Kyoko says that at this point, personal investment may be the only way to help Takamura. Then Kanon receives a message from Eri. Takamura has been taken to the police station. Kanon rushes there, comforts Eri, and gets Takamura released. He had gotten drunk under pressure at a bar, tried to mediate a conflict between customers, and ended up being beaten. After Kanon brings them home, Takamura drunkenly leans on her shoulder and mistakes her for his daughter, apologizing again and again. Kanon's heart wavers. Soon, she makes her decision. While eating with the new president, everything reminds her of Takamura. When the restaurant owner recommends African wine, Kanon immediately thinks of Takamura's dream. She leaves the new president behind and contacts Takamura. At the park, she tells him she has found someone interested in African wine and that the person may consider investing. Even if that fails, she will keep searching for the next investor. When Takamura asks why she is doing so much for him, Kanon blurts out the truth, because she likes him. From now on, she wants to support him by his side. She grabs his hand, and the two naturally become a couple. Eri also likes her future stepmother. Kanon's choice shocks her friends, but maybe that is what love does. Even if someone does not meet a single condition on your list, when the right person appears, the answer is simply that person. Compared with Kanon's happiness, Kyoko's road to motherhood is much harder. At public hospitals, artificial insemination is only available to married couples under certain conditions, such as male infertility. Kyoko does not qualify. Her only option is to search for a donor through private organizations, but the problem is that background checks are weak. She meets several donors and rejects them. Finally, she finds a man whose appearance and conditions seem good, but he turns out to be a liar. By chance, she sees him handing out flyers on the street and realizes all his information is fake. His only goal was to collect compensation each time he donated. Luckily, Kyoko did not become pregnant. If she had, she would not have been able to accept it. Her friends are furious and decide to teach the man a lesson. Uda suggests staging a trap. Kanon pretends to need a donor and contacts him. Then the friends reveal the evidence and demand he admit what he did. The man has no remorse. He even tries to grab the evidence. Haruka and Uta rush in, and Haruka records everything on her phone. They condemn him for disrespecting women like Kyoko who sincerely want children. When he still acts like money is all that matters, Uta slams him against the wall. Under their pressure, he finally gives in and promises to stop. After this, Kyoko becomes less frantic. She speaks with her older sister again. Her sister tells her to think carefully because this is not only about Kyoko, it is also about the child. A child with a father and a child from a single-parent situation may grow up with different questions. What if the child someday wants to meet the father, but the father refuses? Finding someone who accepts that responsibility is extremely difficult, but fate sometimes arrives from an unexpected place. One of Uta's friends may be that person. Uta has her own struggle. She is a lesbian and has been in a deep relationship with her girlfriend Makoto for a long time. Her friends and her mother accept her, but Japanese society does not always accept relationships like theirs. Makoto has just been accepted by a major modeling agency and her career is rising. Then she gets into a car accident and is hospitalized. When Yuta visits, she meets Makoto's manager. Makoto introduces Yuta as only a friend. The manager seems to notice there is more between them and immediately tells Yuta to leave. That night, Yuta secretly visits Makoto again. While they are kissing, the manager suddenly opens the door. Their relationship is exposed. The next day, Makoto sends Yuta a message saying they should not see each other for a while. Yuta is devastated. She ignores the manager and goes to speak with Makoto clearly. Makoto breaks up with her. It is not only because of work, it is because of society. Makoto cannot even tell her family the truth. Living like that has become too exhausting. Yuta does not try to force her to stay. She silently holds Makoto and says goodbye. To heal, Uta returns to her hometown. Her mother is sad for her and says her daughter is wonderful, and Makoto simply failed to appreciate her. Uta's mother does not care what others think. She only wants her daughter to be happy. Then Uta sees books about LGBTQ relationships on her mother's shelf. She realizes her mother must have worked hard to understand and accept her. Uta decides she cannot stay broken. She wants to do something for same-sex couples. Uta goes to Kyoko. The two have been planning a campaign for a wedding company, and the event is almost here. Uta now wants to change the entire concept. From the beginning, she was not part of the audience this product imagined, but same-sex couples deserve recognition too. They deserve to be seen, celebrated, and allowed happiness. Uta and Kyoko beg the client to hear the new proposal. After repeated requests, the client agrees. Uta's revised campaign is accepted. Kyoko looks at the proposal and realizes she should help Uta do something more. On the day of the event, Haruka and Kanon bring Makoto to the venue at the most important moment. Same-sex model couples appear one after another, showing the world the meaning of the campaign. Makoto finally understands the theme. After the event, Kyoko tells Makoto that Uta came up with the whole concept. Uta must truly love her, because she fought this hard so that same-sex couples could be seen. Makoto is moved by Uta's courage and recognizes her own fear. This time, she decides to take a step forward. When the venue empties, Makoto goes to Uta. They speak honestly, and when their friends see them again, they are holding hands. Even if the world does not fully approve, love can still find a way when both people choose each other. After reconciling, Uta and Makoto meet a kind male agent who does not judge them. He is also gay. With his help, they find a suitable home and move in together. Uta then brings Makoto to meet her mother properly. For the first time, Makoto officially meets the family as Uta's partner. Uta tells her mother she is determined to walk with Makoto and be happy no matter what happens. After returning from the countryside, Uta and Makoto throw a housewarming party and invite everyone. At first, the atmosphere is awkward because Makoto and the other women do not know one another well. But as the women start talking, the room becomes warm and lively. When the conversation turns to Kyoko's plan to have a child, the kind male agent begins thinking. Then he offers to become Kyoko's donor. If the child ever wants to meet the father someday, he says he would be happy to meet and build the best, most appropriate relationship possible. The unexpected offer moves Kyoko so deeply that she cries. 3 of the women seem to have found their path, but Haruka is still lost. After Haruka is transferred, she lives in constant fear. She cannot tell Kanata the real reason, so she lies and says she moved to an easier department because she needs more time to prepare for the wedding. Kanata does not suspect anything at first, but secrets do not stay buried forever. One day, Haruka comes home and sees Kanata packing. A friend from her company told him everything about why she was transferred. The betrayal disgusts him. He leaves that night. Haruka's friends take her to a hot spring to comfort her, but they notice a large bald patch on her head. Kyoko thinks the stress is too severe and tells her to see a therapist. The diagnosis is adjustment disorder, a psychological condition caused by being unable to adapt to pressure in her environment. If she does not treat it, it may get worse. Haruka decides to take time off and rest. During this period, she thinks again and again about calling Kanata, but never does. Then she meets a new man. He finds a book she lost and returns it. When Haruka opens the book later, she finds a ticket tucked inside. She goes to the address on the ticket and sees the man on stage, playing music. After the performance, they sit at the bar and talk. He gives her a CD he made. He says he often saw her sitting in the park looking sad, and today he finally managed to make her smile. It is only a simple conversation, but Haruka feels her heart move again. She tells her friends. When they ask whether she will get involved with him, Haruka shakes her head hard. This time, she does not dare think that way. The man's pure love of music makes her feel she is not worthy of him. That night, Haruka comes home and finds Kanata waiting outside. He heard from a friend that she is sick. As if the earlier betrayal never happened, he treats her gently again. But Haruka cannot feel happy. Something inside her is missing. As her condition improves, Kanata proposes again. He even expresses desire for her, and they become intimate. But Haruka's heart does not feel joyful. She realizes she may not want this as much as she thought. When Kanata talks about meeting her parents and getting married, she still agrees. During a follow-up clinic visit, Haruka unexpectedly meets the client boss who once criticized her. He is not there because he is mentally ill. He simply got used to regular counseling while working overseas, where therapy is treated as a normal form of self-care. That conversation gives Haruka a new perspective. Later, Haruka returns to the park. The musician finds her and invites her to his concert. Her friends all strongly advise her not to go, but Haruka follows her heart and goes to the bar. After the performance, he invites her to a group dinner. It turns out this is the band's final show. At the barbecue restaurant, he tells Haruka that everyone in the band will soon go their separate ways, but he will keep chasing his dream and plans to learn a new instrument. Haruka opens up about her own confusion. He tells her that if something feels wrong, she does not need to rush. 100 years ago, people did not even think about age the way people do now. Isn't it foolish to let a number control your life? Those words wake Haruka up. The next day, she resigns from her company. Staying there will not give her the future she wants anyway. Then comes the day she is supposed to try on wedding dresses. Haruka looks at herself in the mirror, crouches down, and bursts into tears. She keeps apologizing. The truth finally becomes impossible to avoid. For a long time, being with Kanata has felt wrong deep inside. She accepted his proposal because everyone says a woman should get married by 30, but she no longer wants to live that way. She wants to face her own feelings honestly. Haruka changes her mind and breaks up with Kanata. Kanata is still gentle. He says it is his fault for not noticing her pain sooner, which makes Haruka feel even more guilty. But Michi, who has been through marriages and divorces herself, tells Haruka something important. If she does not live according to her own heart, marriage will not make her happy. It would also be unfair to the person she marries. After resolving her feelings, Haruka decides to study abroad in Denmark and learn psychology related to intimacy and relationships. She leaves with a new goal. More than a year passes. Michi holds a divorce ceremony for her third divorce. In many ways, Michi is the most free of them all. Her relationships begin and end, but she never treats endings as failure. Every wedding and divorce feels like a rebirth. During that year, many things have changed. Kyoko becomes pregnant with the child she chose to have. Kanon and Takamura become a family. Uta and Makoto's relationship remains strong. Haruka flies back from Denmark with a new dream, to become a sex therapist and help people troubled by intimacy, desire, and relationships. At Michi's ceremony, she and her ex-husband break the ring that once symbolized their marriage. Applause fills the room, and the four friends step into a new stage of life. This drama speaks to many women because it shows problems from a female point of view: desire, career pressure, fertility, marriage, same-sex love, social prejudice, money, work, and the fear of falling behind. People always talk about equality between men and women, but what does equality really mean? Maybe it means not being trapped by society's assumptions. Haruka made mistakes in love, but in the end, she stopped before destroying both her future and Kanata's. She took responsibility for herself and found a direction that belonged to her. Kyoko shows the independent side of a modern career woman. Even without a husband, she can build a full life and choose motherhood on her own terms. Kanon shows the most precious side of love. She once wanted to marry upward and cross a class divide through a rich husband, but when she met someone she truly loved, all her conditions became meaningless. And Uta and Makoto show a kind of strength that is still too often demanded of same-sex couples. Even in a world that may judge them, they choose to walk together. 30 can feel like a barrier for men, but for women it can feel like a turning point filled with even more pressure. Marriage, family, career, fertility, and identity all seem to demand answers at once. But why must anyone live according to the path other people imagine? Whether man or woman, each person should be allowed to live for themselves. Age should not be a chain. Do what you want to do. Love who you want to love. Find the happiness that belongs to you. That is where the story ends. That's all for today's drama recap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share. I'll see you in the next one.